ABC News has learned more about the security firm operating here outside the house. Have a look at that vehicle. Jungle Lion Security presents itself as Canada's #1 provider of security services. But no one answered our repeated calls, and the firm doesn't appear to have a website. We obtained Ontario Transportation Ministry records showing the license plate on the company's vehicle is registered to Aubrey D. Graham, better known as Drake. And the only person listed in the security firm's public profile is the man seen next to Drake in this video, his reported head of security, known to fans as Chubbs.
Drake literally hiring security guards to fake a shooting is next level wicked. Toronto police have launched an investigation into the shooting that happened outside of Drake's house and have uncovered that it was Drake all along. Not only that, the mole has come forward via Twitter with extensive evidence proving that Drake did not hire him, and he is telling Drake he has 24 hours to respond with a...
ABC News has learned more about the security firm operating here outside the house. Have a look at that vehicle. Jungle Lion Security presents itself as Canada's #1 provider of security services. But no one answered our repeated calls, and the firm doesn't appear to have a website. We obtained Ontario Transportation Ministry records showing the license plate on the company's vehicle is registered to Aubrey D. Graham, better known as Drake. And the only person listed in the security firm's public profile is the man seen next to Drake in this video. His reported head of security, known to fans as Chubbs. Drake literally hiring security guards to fake a shooting is next level wicked. Toronto police have launched an investigation into the shooting that happened outside of Drake's house, and have uncovered that it was Drake all along. Not only that, the mole has come forward via Twitter with extensive evidence proving that Drake did not hire him, and he is telling Drake he has 24 hours to respond with a lawyer or else. Girl, you won't believe the latest twist in this Drake and Kendrick Lamar drama. It's been a wild ride, but last week things went off the rails when news broke that Drake's crib got shot up by some mystery shooters. Fans were quick to point fingers at Kendrick, thinking he ordered the hit. But hold on to your seat, because Kanye West just posted some new evidence that leaked from the Toronto police. And it's a bombshell. Turns out Drake might allegedly be the mastermind behind the whole shooting. Crazy, right? Supposedly, he cooked up this plan to bow out of the beef with Kendrick, all while avoiding looking like he's backing down. Can you believe it? This beef has gone from 0 to 100 real quick. And you better believe the details are wild. You got to stay tuned to this drama. It's like a soap opera out here. But why on earth did Drake try to set up the weekend to take the fall? Let's break this tea down. Police confirming a shooting occurred outside the home of Canadian rapper Drake in Toronto. This happening overnight in the wake of an escalating beef between Drake and hip-hop star Kendrick Lamar. This is the scene outside of Drake's home in the city's Bridle Path neighborhood. Courtesy of our CTV News chopper, police say a man sustained serious injuries after a shooting outside that home and was taken to hospital. Police also say a suspect fled in a vehicle, but no description has been released so far. There's no word on whether Drake was at home at the time of the shooting, but we understand from police that he has offered to fully cooperate with them. This whole beef saga between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, it's turning into one heck of a roller coaster ride, landing itself a spot in the Hall of Fame for rat beefs. But just when you think you've seen it all, bam, plot twist. Over the weekend, rumors started swirling that Drake might have actually orchestrated a hit on himself. Yeah, you read that right. The idea was to pin it on either Kendrick or The Weeknd. Wild Hunters found himself knee in drama with half the industry. It started off with some back and forth between him, Metro Boomin, and Future. Then Kanye West decided to stir the pot, tossing some shade Drake's way. And just when you thought it couldn't get crazier, Kendrick Lamar stepped into the ring, dropping diss tracks that tore up the whole hip-hop scene. But the showdown between Drake and The Weeknd, that's where things went next level bonkers. Kendrick didn't hold back, sure, but then there's this rumor that The Weeknd might have actually ordered a hit on Drake. Yeah, I know the week seems all chill and low-key, But they say it's the quiet ones you got to keep an eye on right now. Why on earth would The Weeknd have it out for Drake like that? Well, it all goes back to Drake supposedly putting out a hit on someone from The Weeknd's crew not too long ago. And as for what prompted Drake to do such a thing, well, it's all tangled up in their beef, which runs deep. It's not just a personal fight, it's dragged their labels into the mud too. YO and EXO are practically at war, so if you're not caught up on the latest dish, let me spill the tea on Drake and The Weeknd's history. Back when The Weeknd was still a newbie in the music biz, Drake was one of the first big shots to notice his talent. I mean, it was crystal clear to everyone that The Weeknd was destined for stardom. Rumor has it that Drake's pal and collaborator 40 was the one who first stumbled upon The Weeknd and then introduced him to Drake's inner circle. Drake was all in on bringing The Weeknd under his wing at Oyo Records' his label. Although they didn't ink a deal right off the bat, even though there wasn't a formal contract by finding The Weeknd to Oyo, they continued collaborating with Drake, taking on a mentorship role in The Weeknd's journey. The Weeknd even had a hand in shaping Drake's 2011 album Take Care, contributing to the writing of at least 4 tracks. But here's the kicker: Drake didn't exactly broadcast The Weeknd's involvement in the album. It was like he was keeping it low-key for the longest time. It wasn't until a few years down the line that the truth came out, and Drake had to own up and give The Weeknd the credit he deserved, adding him to the writing credit of the Take Care album. Anyhow, Drake and The Weeknd kept pushing forward. Drake was seriously mulling over formally bringing The Weeknd into the Uvo family because he recognized the immense talent he had at his fingertips. But here's where it gets interesting. The Weeknd wasn't just talented, he was also sharp. And streetwise, he noticed a trend at OVO. None of Drake's proteges were hitting the big time. To be fair to Drake, it's not like he was purposely stifling their careers or anything like that. It's a pretty common scenario when an artist with a bustling career tries to juggle their own path while also nurturing others. Handling one career is challenging enough, but when you're also trying to stay in the limelight as an artist while fostering someone else's career, it's a really tough gig. And truth be told, only a handful of folks have pulled it off successfully. Take Beyonce, for instance. She's running her own label and has brought on board some seriously talented artists who should have hit the big time, but aside from the Bailey sisters, none of them have really struck gold. Even with Chloe Xley, although they've had some success, it's not been chart-topping. Chloe's solo debut album didn't exactly set the world ablaze, selling just 10,000 copies in its first week and barely making it onto the Billboard Hot 200 at number 1 of 19. And mind you, that's with Queen Ba's name backing them up. And then there's High. Sure, she's found major success as an actress, especially last year, but her music career hasn't reached the same heights. You'd expect. She dropped 2 solo tracks last year, and while they created a buzz on social media and went viral, neither one cracked the main Billboard Hot 100 chart solo. She's earned some spots on other Billboard lists, but she's not quite hitting the big leagues. It's kind of surprising given her hefty social media following and overall popularity. But hey, when you're under Beyonce's wing, you're competing for attention with one of the biggest stars in the game. Watching how things played out at Drake's Uvo label, The Weeknd had a crystal clear vision of where he'd end up if he stuck around, so he made a savvy move and signed with Republic Records back in 2012, Kickstar, starting his own XO Records. And boy, did that call pay off big time. By going his own way, he could carve out his own path and truly flourish in his career. Let's be real, if he'd stayed put at Oyo, he might not have reached the superstar status he enjoys today. But Drake, well, he wasn't exactly thrilled about The Weeknd's move. He felt a bit sour when The Weeknd jumped ship to Republic. In Drake's mind, The Weeknd owed him big time for all the promo he'd given him back in the day. So shortly after it hit the news that The Weeknd was leaving Oyo, Drake started throwing serious shade his way, accusing him of being disloyal and ungrateful. But the thing is, The Weeknd wasn't ungrateful to Drake. He always made sure to give credit where credit was due, acknowledging the role Drake played in his career growth. But Drake, he wasn't having it, not even when The Weeknd shouted him out at a concert. This man Drake, there be no Mother Weekend, there be no EXO, so please make some noise for my mentor, my brother, and my frenzy. __. Dr. Drake then made a salty and bitter tweet that said, "You won't get away with just a thank you, you owe me a favor." Drake wasn't about to let The Weeknd walk away without a fuss, especially because he knew that he was losing out on millions of dollars when The Weeknd refused to sign to him. So he decided to play the petty card when The Weeknd and Bella Hadid called it quits. Drake swooped in quicker than you can say rebound, sparking rumors of a flea between him and Bella. It was pretty obvious Drake was using Bella as a pawn to get under The Weeknd's skin. He even dropped a track called Finest, where he laid it all out. "I want my baby to have your eyes. I'm going against my own advice. Should I do New York? I can't decide. Fashion Week is more your thing than mine. I can't even lie. I'd rather stay inside." But The Weeknd wasn't about to let that slide. Turns out he could dish out the pettiness too. He fired back with some serious heat in his track, Lost in the Fire. He threw some major shade at Drake with lines like, "And I just want a baby with the right one, 'cause I could never be the one to hide one." That was a direct hit aimed at Drake for keeping his son Adonis a secret. Until Pusha T blew the lid off. During their beef, the tension just kept bubbling between them, even though they tried to keep it civil and